What's up YouTube, Wind and Wrenches here with another video. This time it's not blowing smoke, we have a how-to for you. I know we got a couple of these on our page and we're trying to do more of these for more content, but today we're going to be changing the fork seals on Annabelle, which hopefully if you follow the page or Instagram you know what she is, but she's a 98 1200 Harley Davidson Sportster. So we're going to film how we do everything, how we take it all apart. It will be voiceover, so we're not going to waste too much time talking while we're doing it, but we are going to film it all. And yeah, hopefully this video helps if you need to change your fork seals on your bike. Hopefully this could be a reference for it. And yeah, so let's get to it. Let's roll that intro.
Alright y'all, so this is our first voiceover, and I'm going to try and edit and make this video as short as possible but still give you enough content to kind of explain everything that's going on. I will be in and out as much as I can to make that happen. So we're literally starting from the very beginning, and right now Craig is working on taking off the front fender. So after the front fender, then we'll work on the brake caliper and just taking off the rest of the front wheel and everything. So we'll let me jump to after when we get the front fender off. Be right back. Alright, so we're back and we're taking the last bolt out of the fender. I'm pretty sure this is the first time that I've ever taken it off with him. So it took us a few minutes, but we finally got it off because the bolts were kind of on there pretty tight. But yeah, so after this we will move to the front caliper and start taking that off. So it's the fender, caliper, and then we take the wheel off from there. But here in a second, right about here, Craig's talking about he wants to put a small fender on there, and then so it doesn't shake back and forth, because he wants to run no fender on it. But if you put no fender on it, it'll have a real bad wobble in the front. You gotta have some kind of brace in there. So let's jump to where we start taking the front caliper off. Alright, so here I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer so you can kind of see what we're doing. We're going to do this a couple other times during the video too, so you kind of get a closer look at what we're doing. But right now, right there, the top and bottom bolt for the caliper, they're Allen keys. We're going to go ahead and remove those, because you have to take the front caliper off before you can take the wheel off. So let me jump to when we get the front caliper off, and I'll be right back. Alright, so Craig's just took the last bolt out of the front caliper, the two Allen keys, and we're putting them back into place. So everything we took out as far as bolts and nuts and stuff, we put right back, so we didn't lose any or kick any around or anything like that. So that's what he's doing right now, and then we will move to taking off the front wheel. Again, let me jump to that portion and I'll come right back. Alright, so Craig's bike did have a couple caps over the front axle that we actually had to take off, a couple set screws, and they come right out. And then Craig just took off the front nut for the front axle, and there goes the wheel. There goes one of the spacers. I didn't pick it up and put it back in there real quick so we didn't lose it. And since we got the front wheel off, now we will jump to the sorry, I lost my train of thought. We'll jump to the where we drain out the front forks. So let me get to that point and we will be right back. Alright, so Craig's bike for this year, I'm not entirely sure if all Sportsters have this, but they have a small drain hole in the back. Now, on my bike, there was the only drain plug for the forks is the bottom bolts underneath the axle. So right there, I just took out one of the drain bolts for that fork, and I'm start squeezing a little bit out there. Now, we did have a little bit of issue with the fork that I'm working on right now, is that the bolt in the bottom of it actually stripped out when we were trying to loosen it up. He got the one he's holding right now, we got that one loose, but the one that I'm working on right now, that one actually stripped out on us. So we'll explain how he fixed that here in a minute. So let's jump to where we actually have the forks off and we're starting to drain out the oil. Completely drain it out, I should say. I'll be right back. Okay, so I lied. We're not jumping right there to the oil drain just yet. I forgot we had to make it easier on us because I don't have a vice grip. We went ahead and loosened the top caps on the forks themselves before we took off the forks. So as you see, I just got one loosened and I'm about to loosen the other one. Now, we are using a pair of vice grips. Do not use a pair of vice grips if you have the choice. I did not have an adjustable wrench big enough at the time to loosen those up, so we are using a pair of vice grips, and Craig okayed it, so I went ahead and used them. Now again, disclaimer, do not use a pair of vice grips to loosen your top caps. If you have an adjustable wrench big enough, use that instead. Please do not use a pair of vice grips and follow us. But if you do choose to use a pair of vice grips, that is completely on you. But it could booger up your top caps, but we got lucky and that did not happen to us. Now we're about to move on to actually taking the forks off themselves, and let me jump to that point real quick. Alright, so we just loosened up the bolts on the triple trees. I believe there is one on the top and one on the bottom. I believe those are torque bits. I cannot remember at the top of my head. I apologize for that. But we just got those loosened and Craig took that out. And now I'm about to start forcing some of the oil out through the small drain hole in the bottom. So first I tried just to pull it. It was too stiff. So I decided to stand up and push some of it out. And you see it draining out. If you see the oil pan there, it's starting to drain out a little bit. I'm trying to get as much out as possible for we start getting a little bit of a rhythm going. Yeah. So we drain that out as much as possible. We get all the oil out that we can, and then we will move to actually taking the fork apart to change the seal and show you how we did that. So let's jump to where we actually have the fork off and we start to take it apart to actually change the seal. So I'll be right back again. So again, we're going to start taking the forks apart. So again, do not use a pair of vice grips when taking apart your forks. Again, this is all we had at the time available to us to be able to take it apart. Use the appropriate size adjustable wrench to take it apart. But I do have my hand there just in case it pops off at any point without us expecting it. But yes, do not use a pair of vice grips when you do this. This is just what we had to use, so that's what we're going to use. Let me jump to the point to where we actually get the top cap off. So we just loosened up enough to get the top cap off, and bam, you see it pop off there. That's why we had the rag there the entire time. I was holding my hand just in case that it popped off without I was realizing it, but we got it down to the last half a thread and be able to turn it off by hand. So I'm dumping out what I can left of the oil, and now let's jump to the point of actually popping the seal out. So we don't actually get to pulling out the seals just yet. Like I said before, we had a little bit of issue with stripping out one of the bolts in this fork that we're working on right now. So there will be a time jump as far as like a change of clothes and stuff. That's because there was about a week. Craig had to actually go to Harley and get the bolts, and then with work and stuff during the week, we didn't have time to do it, so we had to wait till the next weekend. So I will let Craig explain everything to you, yeah, let's just jump to that clip real quick. Just 1 second.
So we did run into a little bit of a snag. So right in here, I don't know if you can see, is the fork damper tube mounting bolt. And the one that was on here was stripped all to hell. We could not get this motherfucker out. So I had to leave Annabelle here, which was super sad. And I don't know if you can see her right now, but she's halfway not there. But yeah, so what we ended up doing to get this bolt out was we got the next size up, the next Allen, hammered it in there, flipped the fork upside down, and I pushed down as hard as I could while our buddy Greg, which you've met him in one of the Blow and Smoke videos hopefully, had a power drill and we had to like rip that sucker out. So that's how we were able to get it. It was kind of a bitch to do. But I got the 2 new bolts right here from Harley. They were like, I think $2.99 each. So not too bad. Just fun fact, if you want to know, the part number is 45405-7A. So yeah, I don't know if you guys can see.
Got it. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a little. Are you still recording?
Yeah. I'll chop it or something. I don't know.
That was a little snag we ran into, but we're back. Hopefully we can get the new seals in today, get everything put back together, and I can take Annabelle home with me today. So let's do it.
All right, so like I said before, you see here we actually have the proper adjustable wrench size to take it off, since this was like a week later. But Craig is about to pop the top on it here, just right about. Wait for it. There, right there. Pop the top on it, and now we'll take out the spring, and then we will pop out the seal here in just a second. Let's jump to that portion too. All right, and we're back. So just after a couple quick yanks, and boom, it pops right out. So you just hold the bottom tube and then pull on the upper tube, and the retaining ring inside the fork will pull out the seal with it. So it's real simple, because once you take the clip out of the top, you just give it a couple good yanks and it'll pop out the seal too. Right there I'm explaining to Craig exactly what we're going to be doing after we get the seal off and how we put it back together and stuff. So let's jump to the portion of actually putting the seal back in, and I'll show you my super expensive tool that I got to put seals in. So let's jump to that right now. So when you put the new seal on, you'll see that there by my hand, I'll put the new seal on, and then Craig just put it's like a little washer with thread on it that goes into the bottom of the fork, so the screw can go into the bottom and hold the assembly all together, so it doesn't slip apart. So now we put the old seal on, and then, put the new seal on, and then put the old seal over that. And right there is my super expensive tool. It's 137 pennies to put the seal back in. So the way we did this is a super easy way. Maybe not the most correct way, but the way I just figured out how to do it. Just put the new seal in, and then put the old seal over top of that, and then you take a piece of PVC and a hammer, and you just kind of hammer around it until it seats all the way down. That's how I did it on my forks, and it worked really well, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever. Again, you can do it this way, you cannot do it this way. It's up to you, however you want to do it for your bike, but this is the easiest way I found to do it, because it's an old seal, so you're not going to reuse it again. So you can just kind of, after you're done beating it in, you just kind of dig it out and just move on to the next seal. Now, both forks are going to be the same. Once you done one fork, the second fork is the exact same and how to do it. So yeah, let's skip to the next part. Actually, we're right there. Actually, we are checking to make sure the fork, or I'm sorry, not the fork, but the seal is seated all the way down in, and it wasn't seated all the way down in, all the way for the clip to go back in. So we just had to put the old seal back down over it and beat it back in a little more. That's one of the major things, is just to make sure that your seal is seated all the way down inside the fork tube there. So let's jump to the next part. All right, so we just put the retaining ring back in, and we're checking it to make sure that it seats all the way down inside around. There's actually a little groove on the inside of the fork, the lower portion there, that the clip sits down inside of. So we're putting it down in there and making sure it seats down all the way. So let's go ahead and jump to where we start putting them back together and putting the oil in. All right, so here we're setting the so the pack of seals that Craig got offline. Forget where he got them from, but I'll put the link down below in the description of which ones he got. It came with a new set of drain screws on the back there, on the back of the fork, with a new set of washers and seals and everything. So, but I'll try and get that link and put that link down in the description if I can get it from Craig. That way we'll make sure that if you guys want to use the parts that we're using and how we're doing it, you guys can go ahead and do that. So let's jump to the portion where we start we'll put the bottom screws back in. So just give me 1 second here. So you see Craig here, he's finishing up, tightening up the bottom screw that he just talked about, the new ones that he just got. We're putting that in right now. We're finished tightening it up, or putting some force on it, make sure we get nice and tight in there. Now, if you get these in there, not sure what the torque setting is on them. It's probably German, good and tight. But that way it doesn't leak. Now, they're not going to come out completely. If it does come loose, it's just going to leak out your fork oil because your axle is going to be there, so it's not going to come out completely. It'll just leak out around your axle. Now we are getting ready to fill it up. And how we filled it up was we just measured out, I believe his fork tubes took about 9 to 9.5 ounces of fork oil. So we just measured out in a red Solo cup and then just poured it in. So that's what we're getting ready to do now. Like I said, we just used a red Solo cup, measured out about 9.5 ounces is what his took for the 98 Sportster. And then use the funnel and just dumped it straight in the top. So let's jump to the portion where we're putting the top cap back on. So right here, we are just putting the top cap back on. So all you gotta do is just push down with a little force and then screw it back in. And as you see, now we're using the appropriate size adjustable wrench that we didn't have the week prior, and just screwing it back on nice and tight. Now let's I'll jump to the portion to show you how we test for leaks real quick. Hold on 1 second. We're checking for the leaks right here. We just checked the top seal and the bottom screw to make sure we're checking for leaks. Then we put the dust cover back on, or started to put the dust cover back on. And then we're just going to push down a few times on it. Get a couple good pushes to get the oil to cycle inside the fork a little bit. And then as we're doing that, we're checking for leaks around the top seal. And we're just checking for leaks, basically. That's how you check for leaks. Once you get it on there, you pump it a few times. He pumped it a few times, and I pumped it a few times. And make sure it's compressing the way it's supposed to compress, and also at the same time checking for leaks, as I said. So we have no leaks around the bottom screw. We have no leaks around the drain screw in the back. We have no leaks around the seal. So we did something right. Now. We will jump to where we start putting everything back together as far as the bike itself, putting the forks back on the bike. Now, I'm not going to show you the other fork that he's tightening up right now. We're not going to show you the same thing we just showed you again. So we'll just jump to starting to put the bike back together. Be right back. So we forgot to shoot an outro for this, so I'll just do it here real quick. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully this helped anyone who needs it. And if you have any questions, hit us up in the comments below or hit us up in the DMs on Instagram. Speaking of social medias, go check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and now TikTok. So go subscribe to those. Go follow us on all those, whatever. If you're looking for it and we're not on there, we don't have it. So Win and Riches across all platforms that we do have. So the video to the left is the most recent video that we put up. The video to the right is the one that YouTube does for you. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and punch that subscribe button there in the center. And remember, always keep the shiny side up.